Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. No matter where you are in the world, this is Inner Balance TV, and I'm your host, Dwaine Hartman. Tonight's show, we have a special guest, Arcturus RA. And Arcturus RA has come here from the Arcturian realm and is here to share with us some information, some new techniques, some new things to help us become more aligned and more focused. The one thing you will notice about Arcturus RA is he is very focused. He has a YouTube channel, Arcturus RA, and he also has a blog and his own website, and I'll be posting those as well. So let's get on with the interview with Arcturus RA. Well, hello, Ra. It's good to see you.
Hello.
Thank you for being on Inner Balance TV.
Well, thank you for having me.
And your videos are fascinating. I mean, you're really going to a wonderful focus for people, being a demonstration of that focus. Mm. And you call yourself Arcturus RA, so I assume that there's an Arcturian connection here, right? Yeah,
that is the most, you can say, dominant or leading aspect of myself is that I'm Arcturian. Mm-hmm. My home planet or dimension, however you want to call it, is Arcturian. Even though we're all a mixed species, we're hybrids, we have an inbreeded DNA, so we have a lot of races that make up the body of the human vessel. Mm-hmm. But for this year, is what I'm getting is as Ra is as the word it says itself. It means light. Mm-hmm. It's just light. Yep. And Arcturus. So basically, the name has a resonance and the signature of me bringing the Arcturian light frequency to Earth to help anchor in light from the higher dimensions. And I'm talking higher than 22. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like 5D, that's all nice, but we're going much higher. There are much connections, and the higher you go, the higher you reach. So people shouldn't get stuck on 5D because we don't know how safe 1 to 12 is. You can check on Lisa Renee's Synergetics. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of gameplay in a psychozoic era where 4D has influenced everything from 3 to 11.5. Okay. That's what we have so far. With tricksters, deities, false prophets, false downloads, false and whatnot, so.
Yeah. And we were talking about that a bit earlier, about 4D and about what's going on in 4D as far as confusion for people and this intense focus that people are feeling right now just by listening to you is the focus that they need to begin to adopt. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things that help people to adapt is, first thing, and this is valuable for those who want to listen or get a pen and write that down, is that they must know or should know 4D is an illusion. It's a holographic testing ground of possibilities, tendencies, and probabilities. It's not actual fact, and it doesn't manifest anything. If you begin to identify with something that's fourth dimensional, you have to understand it's lower dimensional. It'll drag you down. Mm-hmm. The evolution would be that you can go through 4D. It's like walking through Candyland, where you have millions of dollars around you, all the gold you ever won, all the sweets, all the meat you can ever eat. Everything is there. But the focus is, what do you need?
Yes.
And not what do you want.
Yeah.
Beings and deities that come with false information from this dimension, that are linked to this dimension, they know it's a leak, they know it's an opening. That's like a testing ground where the human collective has to find itself, like an open playground where everything goes. Mm-hmm. So there you have beings there that claim that they are Sanat Kumara when they are not. You have beings there that claim they are Jesus. They give themselves the glorious appearance of an ever all so glowing fluorescent superior angel when they are not. Well, the thing is, you have to learn to feel with your heart. That's like a seeing, and some call it the fourth eye, which is the actual eye, and you see what's what. The weakness that 4D has is they can only have you, like you mentioned, by the 2 chakras, not the upper ones. Mm-hmm. They are not creative at all. They are mimickers. All they can do is mimic textbook stuff that has been written and has impressed people for thousands of years. They can mimic. That's why should be shifting into a new paradigm, because they don't know what's coming. They can't mimic what they don't know. So you can't cheat or use cheat codes by possessing vessels, trying to ascend and experience what others experience. And they can never manifest. Any spirit threatening you, any words you hear that are unkind and not coming from the place of love, they can't manifest on earth. The only thing they have is sexual control or fear. These two chakras.
Right.
These are your grounding chakras. That's why this is so powerful. These chakras connect you to earth. And if these chakras are misaligned or bled out, your grounding is gone. You don't, like a lot of people on earth, don't really know who you are, where you're supposed to go, what your purpose is supposed to be, because you're not connecting the source. Your energy leads to your lower batteries, and you can't not turn on the antenna. Then second of all is we have mineral deficiency. People say eat meat, people say vegan, this and that. I've seen people completely, not eating enough raw food people, and I love raw food, and I love going biological. But if your rib cage is showing, you're running out of breath, your lips are blue, and you're pale, that means your body doesn't have the correct nutrition and energy potency that you need to have to be in this dimension. That needs to be looked at, It can't be that in order to have your regulated magnesium level, you have to eat 12 bananas to have your daily dosage. Nobody's going to eat 15 carrots to get potassium on that level, or 12 bananas to get magnesium on that level. Our food is depleted because of the sunlight and the processed food and processed seeds, and it's all over. All the food, it's hitting everything on the entire planet.
Yes.
The cure, part of the cure is a conscious diet, not just being raw vegan and you're not really connecting. Because if you don't open your inner self, you can intake as much as you want. Your cells are programmed like your mind state and your belief system. Let's say your belief system corrupts the intake of vitamin B. You can take all vitamin B in the world. Your body will not have the capacity to give you the intake to stabilize that what you need to have in order to function in this dimension. So it's chemical. People say, well, I can activate your pineal gland. You cannot. And I repeat, you cannot activate the pineal gland if you don't know the synaptic routes that your brain has to wire in order for you to fire correctly. And if your cell memory is so deep behind it, you have to go back, let's say, 20 generations in order to find that. Can nobody on earth tell me that they hear and at the wave of a hand the pineal gland is activated when the pineal gland needs to be decalcified? Which, if you do CAT scans, they call it, right? Like X-rays. You see where the brain is and how the brain functions. We can map that out. We have science that can show if your DNA changes. I spoke to people that train people to alter their DNA with training and post-hypnotic commands. Nobody can sit there if you don't know the problem and then you claim you can change the DNA at the wave of a hand. We can scientifically prove that now. Does your DNA change? Is the RNS and the connections, are they really changing? There are numbers. We can look at this. So right now, we're coming into what they say the age of Aquarius. I'm Aquarian. It's the age of knowing. No longer do you have to believe the charlatan that promises you all of these things, and you think because you imagine that you feel better, but it's a feel happy, which is an illusion. You're not in bliss. You're in an imaginary state of happiness that doesn't make that reality. But it can be measured. Are your cortisol levels and your oxytocin levels in balance? That would be bliss,
So what is what is the cure for this?
So part of the cure is developing the consciousness. How do I make physical changes and have really things in my body taking place that I can witness and really experience, really feel without anybody suggesting me anything. And what we have on the market now is monoatomic gold, but people say don't take that. But they had cases with people that had problems because they're dyslexic, they didn't know left from right, and they take monotonic gold, which doesn't make you dependent. I took that for 2 years, and then I stopped for 1 year, and I stay at the same level. It is your brain craves that food, and it's depleted in our regular food. And I realized that my left hand came back. My skills, I'm more ambidextrous than I was before.
Right.
It took me a year and a half, and it had to take some training.
Right.
One of the trainings that I did is you draw a triangle with different colors, in one direction, and then you take this hand, you draw a triangle with different colors in this direction, and then you see how off sync you are with your muscles. Mm-hmm. That shows that how your brain is either pushing left or pushing right. The minute you get that balance, and science has proven that, you find an equilibrium, and the left and the right hemisphere really balance each other out. Because the only veil that blinds you from the truth is the veil within yourself. That is the veil of the left and right hemisphere not being wired properly.
Yeah.
We used to be this, one brain.
Mm-hmm.
Whole brainers, if you want it.
Yeah.
This was one. This is the unity consciousness, and we're going back there. Mm-hmm. They said it's feminine, it's beyond. The feminine aspect of the cosmic things that are being described is that females were more connected to the cosmos than males because they had more wiring going on. But now this is affecting male and female alike. Mm-hmm. Some people snap right now. Some people are confused.
Yes.
Some males, which is a tough time for, let's say, the regular quote-unquote muggle that is very stuck in 3D, very, very materialistic, and nothing wrong with material, I love to play games, or I play online, or I have my Mac, I don't say, curse that what we produce and we create. It can be used for the good, I say money is not root of all evil. It's the choices that mankind makes with that financial flexibility.
Exactly.
And the things they put. So you can't say it's a Mason money, it's Illuminati money. It might be all this what you say or you wish it would be, but still you can make a choice. You can buy a gun or you can buy ice cream. It's really real simple. The choice and the responsibility ends up with you as a spirit form having a human experience. What is your choice? What do you do with the flexibility and the power they're giving you? Mm-hmm. So right now the paradigm shift is as spiritual leaders will be known for who they are and what they produce, what they create and what they connect, such as you, which I'm very thankful for in your show. What is being done is that you can say the high council is the futuristic higher aspect of ourselves that looks down and looks at us and let's see what they would do with this situation in this lifetime. I had an experience where I met people that were on the council that were responsible for the destruction of Atlantis. Mm-hmm. And it was channeled, and I was reminded again, and they said they would come back again, not fully aware of who they are, and they were put in the same situation where there had to be a council decision, but the cover story would be different.
Right.
And they would want to see if they would make the same decision out of greed and not evolve, or they would make a decision where they would come at peace and we find a solution. Mm-hmm. And it just so happened when people say everybody's going to ascend, people not all going into the same direction. Earth will be like a big Penn station in New York, and everybody will pick their train and their universe according to their vibrational escrow. Mm-hmm. And that's how we will meet. So there will be those that, like you and me and others that are in resonance, that will go into the same place because we don't have to convince each other. We don't have to convert. Mm-hmm. It's like me asking you sitting by the fireplace, you want me to get some food? I get some corn or something, and I get some butter, and you agree, and I get the food. And the plan is we have an agreement, and we both have food. Mm-hmm. This is what this is about. But we see people sitting at, not even at the fireplace yet, not even nothing ignited or initiated, but they're discussing who should get the wood.
Yeah. Who's
lazy, who's covering up that they're lazy. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to get wood. There's one who is basically the guy or the person, the being that sacrifices themselves for everybody, gets the wood and all the food, is trying to make everybody happy, but guess what? Not everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Because of their choices. And we have to see reality. To find these people by the fireplace that work with us and not against us. And this is beyond having a president. This is beyond a government. This starts with little communities. This starts with 3 people, maybe going from 3 to 5,000. And we have to go back, and science has proven that. We have to go back tribal with city councils, elders, shaman women, decisions to be made. Hence, it's the movie Avatar. And they brought in the guy from the quote-unquote demon world, the dreamers, they call them. And the chief came down and he said, my wife has to check. So the shaman priestess checked the guy and said, I will deem when it is clear that we will cure you from your insanity. That message was directed to the human race. Most of us are insane.
Yeah.
We're thinking we are sane, but we are not. We're looping processes and programs over and over again, and we're believing that's reality because we identify with it.
And this is part of 4D confusion. That is a disempowering aspect. The fact that I wanted to interview you was because of the energy that's coming through you is very, very focused. This energy is attainable by people that desire that.
Yes.
Who desire to come out of the confusion, right?
Yes.
And are feeling that urge that it's time to come out of that confusion. And by modeling, by talking to you, by getting involved, the more they do, the more they're going to understand or remember, really.
Yes. Yes.
How to reactivate that focus.
Yeah. It's like, I feel a bit like Noah building the ark. It's like, build it and they will come. Basically, be convinced in what you transmit, and you have those that are in resonance. Yeah. And they're not followers, they are in resonance with you. They are resonators. That helps me and the councils and all the higher souls that already know me. I have people that tell me that I visit them in the upper realms. And it's higher than 5D, where I come to them in the same face, but I'm wearing an orange robe or sometimes a futuristic suit. Sometimes I remember these scenes, sometimes I don't, because we lost the consciousness and the lucidity when we travel.
I have a friend actually that has shared that with me. That you have visited and you visit together on a different plane.
Yes, and we do that like that. Like as I'm reaching people through YouTube, it's just a representation from what I do upstairs. I visit those I can, those who welcome that, and they can visit others. Because back then the shaman or shamanic or druid wasn't the leader of the people, and it wasn't the king. It was the server of the people. Like a server for the internet. Its function is to make connections. Take his ego out. I mean, the server is known, of course, but it serves the connections that people have on the internet. How many people do not think about their service?
Yeah, they do.
It's taken for granted. This is the connection is there, but if something is serving you, that you get that information, and that's what we do cosmically. And it sounds insane, but I know from my heart that I incarnated into a human vessel to do that. And it's not like I'm a walk-in, like they say, or I woke up 2 years and I'm following a trend. I've been on since I was born.
Yeah.
I was talking about planets since I can remember. I started reading Erich von Däniken when I was 11. My mom had books from 1963 when the guy started. So my way was paved already to go that route. When I was 16, I had the opportunity to meet Billy Meyer. And my mom had the suspicion there was something corrupt about that person and about that contact. That's why she didn't allow me with 16 to go to the Swiss Alps. She was protecting me.
Right.
Because I was obsessed with the idea if this guy can call in the ships, back then it was known. I'm 44 now, you do the math. He can call the ships and you would see them and you would be in the backyard, it's like a retreat, and people would come and witness that. I had a friend of mine who died at a young age. When he died when he was 18. When he was 16, he already channeled. He could write letters and automatic writing. I was already deep in it. But then something happened and it pulled me out of it because it was not secure.
Right, right.
Maybe upstairs tried to secure me. So I had to play a little bit generic role for a while and kept that tucked. And did my studies at home and kept it to myself. 16, 17, 18, no internet, So I didn't have the connectivity. People knew me as creative. That's the excuse for the ego so they can handle me. They didn't really know that I really mean that when I say that we're not alone. And some of us are from Earth,
Nice.
Some of us are Earth incarnates for the evolutionary process, and some of us are not.
Yeah.
So there's a difference. And what I do is how people always want to know, what do you do with your diet, this and that, is I eat regular. I'm not saying I'm this and that. I'm type O negative. You can Google yourself what type O negative has to eat and cannot stop eating. Like that's a case where people might not like to hear this, and type O negative, we come from the hunters. We want to gatherers. So we have enzymes for every now and then for meat.
Yep.
That sustains the body. The Dalai Lama tried to do that, step off that, and almost died. He is type O negative, where his, Asian, very known physician was like, when you do what you're doing to your body right now, you can't stop eating every now and then a little bit of meat, because your body is, if you have 20,000 years of programming in that, in 1 year, you cannot break that down.
That's right, yeah.
If you're breatharian and you look like me and you got muscles and you're well trained, well, I'm ready to be impressed. But I want to see the vessel, as in God's faculty, well prepared, so you can cross and you're stable and you're not depressed and mineralize properly. So I'm not propagating eating meat, but for some people, check your blood type, check what you're supposed to eat. Be about that, what's recommended, because that's knowledge that's thousands of years old. In Jesus' ate lamb. So we can go back in times, we can prove that. It was a fest, so it was very rare. And even the natives can't not, and I don't want to hear people say that, be blamed. They prayed every now and then to the prey that they brought home, and they thanked the spirit for sacrificing itself to help transform this planet. That was the mission. And some people say that's BS, but that's not. Some souls come here to help in that transition, to help part of the human race. And we have to see reality for what it is. What I do is I drink what do you call it, monoatomic substance, like ormus. The white substance.
Okay. And it's like what did you say? It's like
monoatomic.
Yeah.
It's like orbitally rearranged monoatomic substance.
Okay.
And that means basically the metal is put into like let's say platinum or rhodium or germanium or whatever, and put into a monoatomic state. That means you don't have heavy metal toxicity because that frequency is taken away. The ancients took that in disdain too. They call it the elixir of the gods. So I suggest people should investigate into brain foods. What is it that the brain actually needs from the food that you ingesting?
Right.
Only cheese and soda pop is not going to do it. That David Wolf said that so funny. It's like cheeseburgers, and a Coke is not going to help you ascend. And I'm not saying you can't eat that. Everything in moderation, I say. Every now and then, eat what you want to eat, but give your brain the substance that you need. And most people like us that stream and that are, like my girlfriend, are natural channels, and we burn a lot of proteins with our brain. More than a jogger would burn running 40 miles. It's been tested. So people have to understand you need your CalMag solution. You need a calcium-magnesium ratio for intake because your body needs calcium to properly store magnesium.
Right.
It's magnesium pills, you're not storing anything. People don't, certain minerals need antagonists, protagonists. It's like politics. In order, that's how you bring it in. So CalMag helps. I highly recommend CalMag. Monoatomic gold, whatever you find, people that make it, people that know how to make it. the alchemy of the future, to get into superfoods and brain foods. And if you have that, which is not the cheapest, but if you have that in your, you bring that into your vibrational escrow, you're less depressive, you can process quicker, you can channel better. When you go through 4D, which we have to, which is the barrier, you're safer because you need the minerals to protect you. Mm-hmm. Like every mineral is like a squadron of angels that has your back. Mm-hmm. You need that. So, and a lot of people eat incorrect, so they're deficient. Okay. Or they're open. They have attachments. They can't get rid of the attachments. They can't, how do you say, process certain things that need to be removed from them. Mm-hmm. Certain fears are like cortisol, adrenaline becomes cortisol in your muscles. People don't know that your muscles are your hard drive, mm-hmm. your emotional hard drive. Everything that you experience has emotional storage in your system that can stiffen up your muscle or loosen it up. So get a massage every now and then. Do a hot pool or a salt water bath. Make sure that you have Dead Sea salt in your food when you eat. Make sure you eat effective. Mm-hmm. Make sure you don't go shopping when you're hungry. You know, mm-hmm. Be conscious and aware how you intake food. Right. And then you get smarter automatically. You don't need to train to be Einstein. To be smart is to eat right and think right, mm-hmm. as in divine. Mm-hmm. And we leave the area of, how do you say, free will. I can do what I want to do. You know, regimes, whatever you call it, Napoleon, hypnosis, everybody running because they can do what they want to do. Now it's about what needs to be done. So we're leaving free will and we are in divine will. Mm-hmm. What does the creative force want me to do? What are the signs that the universe is showing me today where I need to go and how to learn to be watchful with these signs? And we need to snap out of, which is a 4D attachments autopilot.
Yeah.
You're trotting, you're going to work, you're doing everything the same thing. You're not walking your vessel, you're beginning to carry your vessel. Mm-hmm. That means you're not reconnected, your feet get cold, your hand get cold. You're very much trapped in thought constructs of the mind. I call it imaginary headspace. And you're looping and looping and repeating things that aren't real. And you think they're real, and it becomes your belief system. And the word believe, I always say people, you can't say that, but I like to play with the word and see how people feel. To believe is the same as to say, is the original Catman blueprint from Adam and Eve is to belie Eve. Mm-hmm. Is you're lying to the original blueprint of the feminine divine intuition. You're lying to it because you're hopping into an assumption that isn't, and it hasn't taken place. You attach fear to it, and it puts you in a phase lock. That means you're still structuring your entire belief system as you trapped in a mental prison that you can't expand from because you believe it.
I share with people all the time that this looping is going on, that we're looping internally, and then it manifests on the outside, and we experience it as an experience, and that this is hypnosis. Like the thing that is people say, "Are you going to hypnotize me when I'm working with them?" And I go, "You're already hypnotized. Mm-hmm. I help you dehypnotize." Because you're already running those loops that's mismanifesting out there.
Yeah, and then they say, see, I told you I was going to trip on that corner because, your belief system had you going like, 20 more blocks, 15 more blocks, 11, watch, I'll tell you, see, this is the time when you always trip, and then you begin to manifest that, or you attract that into your vibrational escrow, what makes that manifest, and then you believe it to be real. And you want no responsibility with that manifestation because you have nothing to do with the world, because you want to practice separation. Mm-hmm. And that's where Arabian tales even talk about that. In the times we're living in, we're under the spell of Leviathan. And this is the self-perpetuating internal loop processing that we do, that we are under self-hypnosis, that we need to snap out of it and understand, no, right now maybe you're not doing something good. Maybe you're being an ass right now. And maybe you're not being successful with that procedure that you're doing over and over and over again. And you're repeating it, and one has the opportunity to develop something like break the loop.
Yes.
And make experience what happens when your brain starts to fire and actually form new synapses when you break your loop.
Mm-hmm.
We called it, like hypothetically speaking, like a hamster wheel, you know?
Yeah.
A hedonistic hamster wheel for a fake happy state.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta chase it and chase it and chase it because you can't sustain it. And as above, so below, inside and outside. When you're in bliss, that's your zero field energy. That doesn't need to be sustained. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's stabilized. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're finding here with what we're building, with our inventions, with our creations, you know.
Share with me more about your creations and your inventions you're coming up with, please.
Okay, so what I'm working with is the Reiki, which originally came to me in 2008 when I found a guy in Bavaria that produces nanospherical quartz sand, silica-based. And let me explain to you, nanospherical, for the listeners, that means nanoparticles, super, super small, microscopically little glass planets that have a very high capacity to reflect light.
Okay.
And he realized that their capacity to store light and reflect it back photonically is higher than your regular crystal.
Okay.
Much higher. And he realized if he can store sunlight with an Atlantean apparatus that only exists one time in the world, where he built a replica of the King's Chamber.
Okay.
That chamber is, I filmed it on YouTube. You can check my video. That chamber that's a one-time model in the world. I'm attempting to build the second one, and I will make it probably out of sandstone or marble, where the chamber would be resonant to 432 hertz. Within that chamber, we have installed photonic cannons. These are basically, you can say, focal lenses that bring in the sunlight photonically, and they can do it through solid matter. It doesn't matter, you know, as long as it's not reflective. And shoot it out, and shoot it into the sand. And we found out that the light isotopes in the sand can store that light 10 to the 23rd, up to 15,000 years linear timeline.
Okay.
Well, then it was tested. We had withered trees and bushes in the backyard. So we took the pebbles and put them in the sand, mixed it, and the trees came back. The bushes came back. They grew bigger, you know. I mean, strawberries grew bigger, you know. So, and the Japanese scientists have found out that the sunlight that's outside of Earth orbit is much more powerful and potent than the sunlight that's actually hitting us.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It's going through a ring they call the electromagnetic protection. I doubt that this is a protection. I think it's a shield that minimizes us, and it's connected to 4D. It's a grid, it's a barrier. And once that is released, our mutation really kicks in.
Okay.
We will walk like the Nephilim or whatever they said. So that's what we're bringing in with the sand. So we realized, when does DNA repair begin? And I'm not saying activation. The sun activates the DNA for the entire human race. Activation is taking place as we speak. So they did tests in a university in Munich, in Bavaria, and they found out that the human cell has an antenna, which is called a telomere. Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about that. The telomere is an antenna system, like a robot, that comes out telescopically and checks how much light is there. So I can open myself up, like every little cell in your body is a stargate. And it's a little ball with a little black dot. That little black dot opens and closes like the iris in Stargate, for those that remember. What we need to be healthy and fully functional is that the telomeres, first of all, we have enough. We need to grow more telomeres and activate that in our cell structures, makes you smarter, brings more light into the cell structure. So the telomere comes out and scans the environment. And if there's enough light, it sends a signal to the cell, and then the cell opens up a big gate. So that means it's safe, that we can intake pure light.
Okay.
The problem, while we're crippled, we're living under these electromagnetic towers and being bombarded with satellite and all this, the telomerase sense danger.
Okay.
So your pineal gland stays shriveled and stays calcified because the telomerase, like the environment is hostile. We have to have our defense up. So your cells can take in less light. So what I do with the sand is remind the body. And again, this is not voodoo or I'm speaking to the key and then something happens. It's the telomeres scan the environment in the toroidal field that the heart produces. And I wear the key on my heart. So what I do is I light the toroidal field up. To understand the intensity of that sand is a pebble by the size of 0.8 millimeters has a photonic light frequency of 1 kilogram of clear quartz crystals.
Okay.
So what I have in the key, it represents almost a ton of an equivalent photonic resonance in, like, you can imagine a ton of a quartz crystal.
Okay. Yep.
Ton heavy. The light that this rock would emit is condensed and put into the nanospherical quartz sand. That is light. When your heart gets that, it begins to create the telomeres that tells the other cells to produce more telomeres and open more up. So thus more light comes into your system, into your light body. And that's actively, physically changing your body and taking place. I did that with people where I did muscle tests, where I had girls that had, let's say, a weak stand, and in their core, I was like, let me just pull down your arm and see where I can pull you off balance, where your weakness is in the core of the spine. Without the key, I found the spot, threw them off balance, normal, everybody has it. I said, put the key to your heart or hold it in your hand. And I could almost hang my entire body weight into the arms.
Okay. Yep.
I can do it with anybody. And if people say, when you touch something, then that works too. Not really. It's like you can test that with weights. Somebody can only do 25 pounds with both arms. Put the key on your heart, sit for 1 minute, all of a sudden you're doing 30 up to 35.
Okay.
Because you have more light impulse, thus more light feeds the body, thus your muscles can even expand more and grow stronger. And
Where can people get the key?
They can come to my site, ra-key.com, and check my product catalog. This is called Creation Shop. And contact me through the contact form.
Okay.
And I'll give them the details, how to acquire that.
Okay.
And the key is basically the starting point for, I want to put that into bubble domes. I want to make photonic substance concrete that is lit photonically. That you're living in a crystal house without having to mash crystals like that. All we need is silica-based quartz sand mixed with concrete, not limestone. Limestone doesn't store so much light, plus it isolates, and it can really disconnect you from Earth. And we want people to reconnect to Earth. Like imagine you have a stone paneled floor and the epoxy that's over it is mixed with the sand that we produce. Bring the light system, and it heals people. People have amazing experience. Their awakening process is accelerated. Some people sleep with them. Like I had my aunt from my German side doesn't believe in that stuff. She thinks it's all quackery, and she trusts me. So she said, "Why don't you, sell me one of your keys and I'll test that." Because I don't really believe it. Right. And then she called me a week later and said, "My dreams are better. I feel much better. I'm more in contact with myself. I don't know what this is, what you put in the key or how this works, but your stuff works." So even if there's a non-believer, you can sense the thing. Okay. It's your cell structure can.
Now you have other things as well that you're making.
Yes, the second thing that I make is I'm very proud of is a Reiki Wand, which is an art piece where I have a copper rod that I measure to the Egyptian lost cubit length, and then I fill it with inorganic and organic substance, as in resin, epoxy, that hardens and puts pressure to the crystals that are put in the resin, thus creating a vacuum. And we found out if you put crystals into a vacuum, you have more photonic output, meaning more light emanation. Mm-hmm. And I put that in the key. That is like the latest upgrade. I used to put crystals in there. Then the second upgrade was nanospherical quartz. Now I mix the quartz sand with the resin to create a vacuum within the shell of the key.
Okay.
So people can even sense that even more.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So, and that's what I do with the wand. It's leather wrapped, and I use Swarovski crystals, rhinestones that reflect all colors of the rainbow to reflect that. I coil it with a copper bare wire, and then you have your Reiki wand. I make orgone pieces, such as in dodecahedron, poured in orgone. One thing I called Rockropolis as the Acropolis imitation as a little piece.
Right.
As a room clearer, what orgone does is it attracts disharmonious EMF frequencies and electromagnetic frequencies that are out of the alignment, not matching your DNA. I add the rare mineral shungite to my pourings, and that is a physical EMF eater. So there are some crystals that do the etherical EMF cleansing, but that's not enough. Shungite really shields you. Like the Russians have tested that, and I've been to sites where they experiment with that shungite has these little atomic structures they call fullerenes, and they literally eat electricity up where it is and bring a harmonious wave to an output. And the metal that I put into the orgone attracts that. So that's a room clearer and house clearer, and I have many models that I apply that in, as in bigger systems, you know.
You have an example of that sitting there, don't you?
Yeah, this is basically the dodecahedron. You can see the layers of the pourings, and then the floor I have copper-coated steel beads. Mm-hmm. People use that for their BB guns. I use that for organics. Mm-hmm. You know. And the dodecahedron is, you have to check the alchemy of the platonic solids, what that does. That's a whole other deal here, what I'm working with and experimenting with, which is not yet on my product catalog. I put it in a saltwater pool where my mom had Watsu underwater water treatment, mm-hmm. and I saw bubbles coming off this thing. So it literally produces oxygen.
Holy.
So I'm working on this new invention that I want to work for aquariums. Mm-hmm. People have this oxygen pump in there and these stones to get the pH level corrected. And I already have that secured. I have a device that is crystalline glass that's lead-free with the alchemy that I put in there. And I use the pebble is this big. And you can dump it in the aquarium. The pH level regulates back to 7.5. And it produces oxygen so the fish can breathe. So you don't need electricity pumping mechanically air into water. You have naturally the water molecules responding to the photonic impact, thus opening up them to produce oxygen underwater. And that's like the best thing you can do. So I'm planning big things. I'm going in there step by step because I'm investing in myself. I'm not looking for investors owning anything or directing anything that I do. I have to fully, that's what I get from my Arcturian brothers and sisters, control that output. Because you can say the Arcturians, we are the emotional technology police. Mm-hmm. There shall not be any misuse with assisting technology that we're bringing here. Mm-hmm. And there can't be. You have to embody that, what you produce. You have to be pure. Before I started touching the sand, trust me, I was for a couple of months, every week now and then, basically menu in return on the bathroom. I had to clear. They cleansed me and cleansed me and cleansed me. Clearing rituals. I had to clear so much in order even to work with that material.
Right.
Because I have it all around me. I build it every day. If you're not clear, trust me, you will fear it. You cannot wear the key and smoke your cigarette. Your chest will get dark because it pulls it out, and you realize you're doing something and that your body is defending itself. A friend of mine had an alcohol problem, and I brought the key and showed the demonstration, and he tried to pump hard liquor. He had to go to the bathroom. Everything started to say right back out. And he was like, that's you. That's your key. I can't do that stuff when I'm around you with that key. You can't damage your vessel actively when you know the signs and how to read the signs. And this is what this is for, basically. Mm-hmm. That's how I'm at it.
Cool. Good. So thank you for coming on the show. Is there anything else that you would like to share in closing with people?
I just want to say, if people are interested in what I do and want to expand their mind, what I say and share on YouTube, that's free. Only my product, which is labor, I expect their donation in exchange. And my site, like I said, is ra-key.com.
I couldn't.
Okay. My YouTube channel is Arcturus Ra. I'm easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
And the other site is Arcturian-council.com, which is my blog, where I just share experience.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I did have one question. Somebody asked me to ask you if I had the opportunity to ask you. Mm-hmm. You were talking at one point about fingers, right? About
yes.
5. We have the ability to go 5 dimension because we're 5 fingers. How many do they have on Arcturus?
It's energetic.
Okay.
You can have any number of fingers you want. It's once they in an energy body, it's basically the hand is a light structure. Okay. So it can be 5, it can be 6, and it can be just like gloves, light gloves.
Right.
Because then at some point you lose dimensional body type concepts, because everything can be run and controlled and manifest and directed with the mind.
Yes.
So.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for answering that question. Well, that was an interesting interview. And just at the tail end of the interview, of course, we really started to break up Skype-wise or Internet-wise, and he wasn't able to say goodbye the way he wanted to say goodbye, so I'm saying it for us. Thank you very much for watching, and from both of us. And take care. Talk soon, and bye for now.